Ah, spoiler alert.
Hey, lovely internet people. Like the one person who's probably watching us. That's me, by the way.
Any creatures, critters, aquatarians, Triforians, whoever might be watching this,
Yeah,
mhm.
even the odd gangler is welcome. They're gonna
Yep.
have to show me your treasure first. I've been watching Lupin Ranger, if you couldn't tell. I've been trying to get him to watch Lupin Ranger also. Let's make a campaign. If anyone's watching this, that's not us.
All right.
Okay, whatever. Okay, let's get into this topic. Warsmith.
Yep.
Topic at hand.
The topic at hand tonight, as the lovely people at home might see in the title of the video, is we are discussing Zyuohger and its possible and our thoughts on it being adapted into Power Rangers, because as of right now, there are talks about Zyuohger becoming the next season of Power Rangers after Dino Fury. More specifically, Zyuohger was, or Dobu Bustu Doi Sentai Zyuohger. It was the Super Sentai of 2016 because Nickelodeon is annoying and we ended up really, really far behind the Sentai.
Yeah. 2016, 2017. That was a Ninja Steel, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
That was
I think so. The just time moves weird.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Time moves weird, yeah. So we're talking this is Rexar's topic. Not Rexar, sorry, Rexar, someone else. Warsmith's topic. I don't know why I said Rexar. This is Warsmith's topic. Probably, if you'll allow me, I'm going to pick the next topic. I don't know what that's going to be yet. I have some ideas scrolling around. I figured we'd trade off.
All right, that's perfectly fine.
Like, you pick, one topic and I pick another topic and whatever. I'm still sniffling a bit. So if you, I'm still sniffling a bit. And still like kind of getting over that cold I was fighting off in the previous episode. And I so if you hear like weird noises, also I'm drinking a bottle of seltzer right now.
Seltzer's a very good drink.
Seltzer's it's like mostly flat.
Well, strange enough, I do that sort of thing as well. I like my sodas not to be particularly strong, but our own personal eating habits aside.
No, it's not like intentionally. I just kind of grabbed like one that was already open and probably was open for a while. And it's, you ever know, I just want to like say this, like just have an opinion on this. You ever notice how like flat seltzer doesn't just taste like water, it tastes like weird water?
Oh, there's a reason for that, I think.
Probably.
Has to do with the carbon dioxide actually like chemically like bonding to the water on a chemical level, aside for the just like being in it. Like seltzer is just squished in there really hard. But like no, you can actually get chemical bonding. I think that's part of the reason why it's like if you ever left a glass of water out, the carbon dioxide in the air actually like binds to the water and creates like a type of acid, I think. Or something that doesn't taste very good.
All right. Well, let's All right. So let's get into sorry, go ahead.
I'll have you lead off because I've actually watched it. So we'll start with your personal opinion of the source material from what you know of it.
Right. So basically how this is going to go, I just want to clarify, this is going to be a lot more structured than last time because we only have like three I guess, main points to discuss. Oh, they're longer points, but they're it's not like a bunch of rapid fire trying to be rapid fire. I don't know, whatever.
This time we're trying to be around an hour or less.
Yeah. Also we have I don't know what you're actually seeing in the background, but I don't think I can do the video game thing again. I may just use like just static images this time, or maybe just like one video game instead. Just for clarification, because it took forever to edit that. All right. So thoughts on the Sentai. I only saw the first 2 episodes. I gotta say, I kind of didn't like it.
Okay.
I thought it was a bit like, I mean, it sets up some intrigue with the whole, the bird zoom in as not zoom in where the like.
I think they are called zoom in or something like that.
Like something like that, yeah.
Like, I think it's supposed to be like zoom man, but with how they pronounce Z's, it's
Zhu man. I think that's what, a Zhu man. Like human Zhu man.
Yeah. As I said, it's supposed to be a amalgamation of the words. But or at least I assume it is.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the idea. But they, the Zhu man. Well, wait, actually, like, I guess, sorry, a little bit minor setback. That's not like, actually, Zhu Ranger being in 2016, 2017 is actually pretty on time for Power Rangers, because the Ninja was the previous Sentai. So that's not. So like it's not like Saban being weird. It's actually like pretty apt.
It would have been the next one if we had actually it would actually make sense.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we had like a bunch left. Whatever. I just wanted to point that out because I kind of noticed that right now.
We'll probably have a separate discussion some other time about Nickelodeon and their adaptation rates and whatnot at some other time, I think.
Well, Neo Saban, New in general, whatever. That will be a different time. But yeah, so I do like that sort of idea. I do that like that sort of intrigue on how like what's the what's frick, what was I about to say? You like that sort of like intrigue about like, oh, who's this mysterious bird person who saved the Red Ranger's life. Yamato, who saved Yamato's life. I have it written down here.
So it's interesting. I will admit I did watch the entire season, but it has been a while. And I guess since what I remember is what stuck with me, I guess that you could say that that's probably what would stick with a writer too. So the main things, it had interesting concepts. If I recall, I think.
Do you mind if I finish? Because I didn't really finish my thought.
Sorry, I thought you were done.
Yeah, I mean, I think Green Tusk, yeah, because all the humans are named after elephant puns. Whatever. Tusk, like not trusting humans is I think that's kind of interesting. I just kind of feel like, I don't know, I thought like from the first 2 episodes it seemed just a bit too juvenile for my taste, and none of the characters kind of really resonated with me. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure it has its fans. And I don't know, that's I was gonna watch 3 episodes, but I honestly had no interest, and I literally started watching Loop Pad right after that. And I just said, screw this. I'm watching something that I actually like. All right.
That's
But
fine. Your own decision.
yeah. Again, Warsmith, you could like it. I'm not saying you can't like it or whatever. Or anyone, who can't like it. It just didn't resonate with me. I gave it 2 episodes and I just kind of, yeah. All right. Go ahead.
Well, all right. So I would say I liked it, but I wouldn't particularly say I have particular praise for it. I don't think it did anything particularly revolutionary. There was a funny plot towards the end, or I don't know when I don't even remember when it was, where the grandfather, is it his grandfather or his uncle? I don't remember.
I think it's his uncle.
Of the main character finds out their identities, and he goes on a whole side episode thing of trying to become a Zyuohger or something. He even puts together one of these motorcycle helmet Sentai costumes, or football motorcycle helmet costumes with it's called himself Zyuo Man or Zyuo Human, something like that.
What is it, like Orange Ranger essentially?
No, because we do actually have a Orange Ranger.
No, I meant like in terms of SPD.
Yeah, sort of, but more like the Boom's actual Orange Ranger costume, as
opposed to the fantasy. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Another thing that you don't necessarily can't speak to is Zyuoh the World, the 6th Ranger, is, I think he's a really cool look, but he started, at least for me, I noticed a weird trend with him, and from what I've heard about other Sentai, this seems to be a weird sort of sub thing that seems to happen. I don't know if it's because they want to make the characters interesting or not, but he was the first time I noticed. I had just watched Tokuger before this, and I noticed this interesting pattern that they seem to have a weird thing of giving these 6th Rangers some sort of psychological problem. What I mean by that specifically is that Zyuoh the World is, to be honest, kind of, I wouldn't say depressed, but he suffers from pretty much having absolutely no self-esteem. What I mean by that is it's literally the type of thing where an enemy will say something in the middle of battle that vaguely reminds him that he used to be a bad guy, and he'll go ball up in a corner and be out of the fight.
That's really dumb. But he's so cool! But that's so dumb!
A similar thing, sort of, referencing Tokuger, is that the 6th Ranger in Tokuger rather specifically had a death wish. He would literally start off before he morphed or after he morphed with the term of, "This is a good day to die," or "This is a good place to die."
Persona!
That's the edgiest thing I've ever heard.
Yes, coming from the train season, the brightly colored train season. The Tokuger, this is a thing for a discussion of Tokuger, but Tokuger was very weird in many, many, many ways.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of it. Well, not episodes, but I saw clips, and yeah.
Yeah. But so I don't know if this is a thing that they have, because it seems like they do have a tendency to make 6th Rangers slightly eccentric. but I don't know if it's just I haven't watched very many Sentai, so I don't know if this is a more recent thing, but it's like I find it funny that like two in a row that I watched both had like um noticeable mental issues. And I just looked it up. Human, as he's called, is technically a Pink Ranger. So congratulations. We have our first, technically, I mean, I don't know if it's our first, but our first fully male, exclusively male Pink Ranger.
I don't.
Zyuohger Bros.
I don't think that's like. Let me look this up. 1 second.
Human. I could
No, I'm looking this up right now. I don't know if this counts. I'm looking at it right now, and I don't think it counts.
I mean, technically no, but you know, it does exist. So
it's this is like on the same level as Abba Pink.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So like it doesn't. I don't think this actually counts. It's like a real Ranger thing.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying it's like it's with pretty close, not counting the Rangers temporarily switching powers. But so like okay, so the story breakdown. Sorry, this is taking so long, fellas. The story breakdown for Zyuohger is that apparently there used to be one world, Earth, where both humans, which are essentially just humans with animal heads and vague animal bonus features, like the Blue Ranger, who's a shark, has essentially. Honestly, if we were going to link this with Power Rangers, I would probably make a fan theory about her being related to Vexicus in some way, or at the very least being the same species. But like they literally both have the fish for a head thing going on.
Well, maybe we should say that for like story ideas for the season.
Yeah. But anyway, so there used to be one world. Apparently, at some point, it got split into two. The gateway between the world is powered by a big cube with a rotating top. That you need these 6 Geo Cube morphers. I don't remember what they were specifically called, but the 6 morphers that are cubes. Which, by the way, I do vaguely love the morphers. The fact that they are a combination of a cell phone and a Rubik's Cube.
You actually own one, right?
Yes, I do. I'm not sure where it is right now, but yes, I do own a Geomorpher and a Tokuger morpher.
Maybe you could take a picture of that and then send it to me so I could put it in.
If I have any idea where it is.
Right.
But yeah. So what happens is that the Red Ranger gets transferred to the other world, and then is followed back to our world by his fellow 5, the other 4 fellow Rangers, Duos, Shark, Blue Shark, Green Elephant, Yellow Lion, White Tiger. And they end up, because they're concerned, I think, for a little bit at the beginning about what are they going to do, but their morphers actually have an interesting ability that allows them to disguise themselves as humans. And the villains are actually an idea I find a little bit interesting, though it does have some execution problems, and that is that they are apparently just rich jerks for the most part that are coming from another planet and view humans as a lower life form. And the reason why they only send down one monster at a time is because, kind of similar to what Ninja Steel did, is that them attacking and trying to destroy the Earth is actually a game to them. They have placed bets on who will be the one successful to destroy the Earth, and they get a great prize if one of their minions is the one to destroy the Earth.
Right. It's like I think it's called like the Grand Game or something like that.
Yeah, the Grand or the Great Game, something like that. So the and that's why each one takes turns. And that the show pretty much progresses like that for a while until eventually a new Zyuohger shows up, the evil Zhuo of the world. He has the unique ability that he seems to have the powers of 3 different animals, and he's actually completely human, like the Red Ranger. But yeah, there's a whole mystery going on about like how the Red Ranger's got his powers. Because he he's a human, but he's able to use the power of humans. So they're kind of like, what's up with that for a little bit. But it turns out that this guy, seems there are humans living around the planet occasionally. And the head of the Great Games, spoilers all the way, by the way, since in case we didn't say that already.
We didn't. I'll probably put like a spoiler warning in the beginning.
Yeah. And by the way, chime in if you have any interesting comments. Don't forget to do that. Apparently captured 3 humans and like tortured them, killed them, and then transferred their DNA or something, like their essence, into this one human, and constantly kept brainwashing him. So eventually he ends up breaking free. I don't remember exactly how. One of the interesting things is that for the first little while, he is tortured by the souls of the 3 humans, the crocodile, wolf, and rhino that make up his power set. But it doesn't take very long before they forgive him. So it's like, that would like made sense for, like, it does make sense that he would have some form of PTSD or something. It's just that like certain things that set it off are just so stupid and it's annoying. But anyway, and then eventually there's a gorilla human that shows up named Larry. And we find out that apparently using the cubes, human can transfer their powers to humans. This gives the Red Ranger his second form, Zhuo Gorilla, which is made by him just pulling his visor up and then his, the shirt changing and him growing rather hilarious but stupid fake muscles.
Yeah.
Very,
very puffy muscles.
Yes, inflatable suit fake muscles.
Yeah.
But then so the that happens.
I mean, like,
so
I'd take like the mystic muscles over this. Honestly, I'd take the mystic muscles over this.
Yeah. And then the Birdman that gave him
Birdman. Sorry, I have to say it.
Gave the Red Ranger his powers. His name is Bardo or Birdo, by the way.
Like Super Mario, like the Mario enemy Birdo.
I guess. I think it's Bardo, or at least I think it is. You'll put a flashing thing and like just saying he's wrong.
Or I can look this up right now.
All right.
Let me look this up right now just to make you look like an idiot.
Well, one cool thing I do find though is he does possess the last morpher, which for some inexplicable reason is orange. It is like gold colored. So that doesn't make any sense. But one cool thing that I actually do really like about him is that when he does morph, if you remember, the Red Ranger's base powers are essentially copied off of him. So their suits are actually identical and their power sets are actually identical, except there's a palette shift where the Red Ranger's palette colors are black,
this says it's red. His name is Bud.
Bud?
Yeah.
Okay. The standard Red Ranger colors are red with black highlights, and then are red with black highlights. The Orange Ranger as well, orange with blue highlights. But aside from that, their actual main costumes are identical. So I think that would be really interesting to see integrated somehow.
Yeah, it looks like he's like just like a little like washed out. A
Yeah.
washed out version of red, or like a red that's been like sitting in the sun too long.
Yeah, sun bleached.
Yeah.
And eventually they end up fighting a weird they have to retrieve the power of the first Zyuohger, Zyuoh the whale, which, surprise surprise, is not an upgrade for what you would think would be the logical choice, which would be the Blue Ranger, because shark to whale kind of makes sense. But no, it is another upgrade upon the Red Ranger, bringing our Red Ranger total up to 3 different forms. Which is fine, but it's just a full another Ranger form. Like, honestly, like Geo Gorilla kind of looks like a power up a little bit from the other one. But no, Geo the Whale is just like outright looks like a different Ranger. But that all ties into the idea they have this one ancient enemy that they fought that turns out one of the main generals is actually the same enemy, like mind washed to fight. I'm not sure why they had this, because it really turns out to be pointless, because it's like as soon as he finds out, he's just like, well, I don't care, I'm gonna fight them anyway. And then eventually you end up, all the various monsters are destroyed, and the main villain comes down. And one of the cool things I actually do like that they did with the main villain, at least in concept, is that he holds himself to be like the superior life form, like the ultimate life form, or something like that.
I'm looking at here, and it seems like this guy has like a combined form with 3 of them.
You mean the Red Ranger?
Yeah, all 3.
Yeah, it's probably like all powers layered on top of each other. I'm gonna call that kind of like his battleizer equivalent.
Okay.
I don't remember what the story beat was that led to it, but it did happen. But anyway, so so it actually turns out, coolly enough, that it turns out that the big bad evil guy is actually essentially just the mooks of the season, all stacked on top of each other wearing a trench coat. Because what it is it's like, apparently, I guess you get enough of them together and they clump together to form the main villain.
Oh my God.
And then
That's
then
so
what happened?
stupid.
Yes, but in a surprisingly good way. It's like, it's like, turns out you're really, really weak when you're not all stacked together. Like, things like, you claim to be the ultimate life form, but turns out we beat you up in hordes. And then eventually, they defeat him, so they're able to open up the Q portal. I don't remember exactly what each has to do with the other. And then you get into this really weird thing at the end, which just makes me shake my head. It ends up falling into this annoying trap that happens every now and then with whenever you have conflicting world stories, where like people are traveling between 2 worlds. You always, for some reason nowadays, it's not particularly new, because I remember it happening sometimes before, but for some reason people always seem to think that there's this good idea that just mashing the 2 worlds together is for some reason a good idea to the conflict resolution. And for those of you who, I don't know if you're in this, but it's like if you remember Star versus the Forces of Evil from a few years later, would do the same thing. And various other shows. There was another one, but I don't remember what it was. There were like a handful of notable shows recently that all did this. And it's like, this is a horrible, horrible idea.
Didn't Mystic Force do that also?
No, actually.
Yeah,
because
they all the mystical creatures would came to Briarwood now.
Oh, okay. So I understand how you think that that's the same thing, but in reality, it's not, because in Mystic Force, they still have their own space. The two areas are still separated by space. It's just the townspeople didn't go into the forest, and the people living in the forest didn't come into the town. That was the rule. Like there was a specific barrier in a specific place, and the barrier was crossable. Here, it's literally you are taking the like world and layering them on top of each other, like through a printer or something, like a weird printing accent. Like physical structures are literally transported from place to place, and it's like, I'm sorry, the only thing that's worse for a planet and civilization than something like this is the end of Dino Supercharge.
I mean, if humans naturally evolved with dinosaurs, I'm not for obviously the ending is stupid, but I'm saying in terms of like actual civilization, even though if you think about it, whatever, not, you know what, forget it.
No, like think about it. Can you honestly say that if you woke up one day and found the giant Rubik's Cube-esque tower sprouted in your backyard, and there was an elephant person or a ferret person living in it, you wouldn't be like, get the blast off my lawn?
Yeah.
Now imagine that on an entire world scale.
Is that the ending, or that's like?
Yes, that is the ending. That is the so-called happy ending. It's the exact same thing that is what happened with Star versus the Forces of Evil.
Huh.
And this came out several years before that. Like, this was 2017. Star was like 20. This was like 2016, 2017. Star was like 2018, 2019. Yeah, this was 2016. Star was, I think, 2019. So who knows? Maybe the creators of Star Wars: The Force of Evil are Super Sentai fans. Who knows? Though that's not a legitimate argument on any level.
All right. Well, just general thoughts about the series so far. I guess the series in general. What are your what's your
Sorry,
verdict?
that was an entire summary.
Yeah.
I took up half our time.
I mean, we it's not gonna, whatever. We'll flex it out. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
My general thoughts are, I think it has potential for adaptation. It's very much just has sort of the same basic day-to-day activities. Like, I don't think there's anything particular problems with it.
Well, not potential.
Yeah, sorry.
That the just consensus on the series.
I would say it's good. It's definitely watchable. Aside for the weird stuff with the Zyuohger of the world, I think it did bring up some interesting points. It's also honestly it's sort of refreshing in a way where it's one of the few more modern Sentai that actually had like a normal size cast of Rangers, not counting like movie exclusive Rangers. But then it makes up for that with having a whole bunch of like different Ranger forms.
Huh.
I think it's good. I think if you're looking for a fluff piece Sentai, like you just want to watch a Super Sentai, go ahead. Zyuohger is perfectly fine. There are probably better options. But there's nothing particularly wrong with it as far as I remember.
All right. Let's talk about the I guess the suits and the Zords. I guess just general opinions on it. I kind of get what they were going for with the suits.
Yeah. I think the suits are actually sort of cool. They're a little childish, but I think they are cool in their own way, and there is something to be said for simplicity.
I think they're a little too overly simplistic. I'm honestly just not. I'm not a big fan of them.
Yeah, they do kind of look like something that would have come out of um the knockoff $5 store.
Yeah. The masks, the helmet, are helmets are pretty cool, and I do like when they have those like their animal aspects shown off.
But at the same time, they are very, very simple, even compared to a lot of other animal helmets.
Not well, they're sleek, I find, but I think I don't know. The problem I have with the suits is that they're just kind of one solid color.
Yeah, I get that. Normally, you have more highlights all over the place,
or a design, right? This is just kind of like a print, and I mean,
looks like a T-shirt.
Yeah, a T-shirt with matching pants.
Yeah. Give me a second. I'll be back.
Sure. If you don't mind, I'll just continue talking about the suits.
Go ahead.
Okay. The belts. Belt is okay. I'm not. I'm fine with it. Each ranger kind of looks the part of what their animal is supposed to be. I guess, in terms of helmets, and I think maybe something like Gal Ranger / Jungle Fury, or Gal Ranger Gal Ranger / Wild Force, and Jungle Fury / Geki Ranger probably, I think, did the job a lot better. I mean, they're not I personally consider these suits around the same quality as the Lost Galaxy suits.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I think the Lost Galaxy suits might be. I didn't hear the last part, but I think the Lost Galaxy suits are a little bit better.
Really?
But
well, I guess they have a gold highlight.
There's more interest. Like the chest is pretty solid, but the rest of it, the arms are better. There is something that's sad to be said, that you could make essentially a copy of this suit simply by going to a store, getting a printed custom long sleeve t-shirt, then getting a pair of red sweatpants, and then getting a set of white cowboy boots and high gloves.
Well, here's the thing with the boots and the gloves. I actually really do like the boots and the gloves and what they were going for with those. The whole jagged animalistic type thing. The very I guess you could say Ginga Man / Lost Galaxy.
I guess so. I feel like they could have been better. If you look at Zyuohger's gloves, the Orange Ranger,
right?
I think that just for some reason the color balancing, or how the colors come together, just look a little bit better there.
Huh.
That's just my opinion. As maybe I'm used to more metallic colors around the gloves. I'm used to the gloves being more armored, I guess.
Jew of the World has a pretty, I guess, interesting design.
Yeah, I do really love Zyuohger of the World's design.
It's I mean, it's not too complicated, but it's about the perfect level of let's say, yeah, he's clearly a sixth ranger, you know. But like, you know, his design seems like pretty normal, you know. Yeah, as a sort of like a three-prong amalgamation of different animals.
Yeah, but you know what? I actually just realized
What?
why his design looks really cool to me.
Because it's like a more designed version of like something that's not really, that's kind of under designed.
Partially, but if you actually look at it, his chest is designed to invoke the look of him wearing a jacket.
Yeah.
In fact, if you actually look at his silhouette, I'm thinking he actually looks very similar to the Gokaiger, or specifically the Super Mega Rangers.
I mean, not, I don't see it, but sure.
I'm talking about more like the profile with like how his color profile. And what I mean by that is like his lines, like the lines on his costume, sort of. Very much because he's like his design is made to look like it's forming a coat.
Like it's a jet. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess just not too much Sentai or Rangers wear coats.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're always
Which is a shame, because
remember, they're always in California, you see.
they're
always in freaking California.
Or Japan.
Or Japan. I mean, like, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Like, what I mean is, like, if you see, like, the way the gold and silver go down and meet his legs, like, make it look. I also do really love that the form change. This is one thing that is, I think, really cool about Zyuoh the World and the initial form change, Zyuoh Gorilla, is that the form change is actually built into the helmet. Like it really is just the same costume, except with the helmet in different positions.
Well, I mean, well, Zyuoh Gorilla actually changes his print.
Yeah, he changes his print and bulks up, and I know, but what I'm saying is, like, I like the idea that you don't have to have like 3 different helmets for like the same ranger. Like it's kind of hard to explain what I mean. Like,
well, the thing is, like, there probably are, like, in reality, 3 different helmets.
Yeah,
like actual,
like
in terms of like the actual
mechanisms,
like, costumes.
Yeah, yeah, because like probably having the actual like hinges and stuff would be too fragile to actually have on like a stunt costume.
Yeah.
But like I guess like the idea of it is just, I guess it's just a cool idea to me.
Right.
Yeah. And then did you talk about the Zords yet?
No, I did not. First of all, I guess, I don't know, Jewel Whale seems, I guess, different enough to talk about. You want to, I guess, just go over him?
I like the Zyuoh Whale costume a lot because that one, like, it does have a very cool profile. That one really is wearing a coat.
Yeah, no, like a drape or not drape, like a toga or something.
Yeah. I think the design is cool, but you see, this is sort of an example of what I mean by having the helmet change. Like, Zyuoh Whale is clearly a completely different, like, is clearly not the same. Like, as I said before, he honestly could be a completely different ranger, kind of like, I could imagine a Triassic Ranger type thing happening with this guy.
Except maybe them actually going through with it.
That they could do that. And I guess it kind of makes sense because originally, like, his powers really do have nothing to do with the original with the original red power set. Like, honestly, it's kind of like it's kind of like the Quantum Ranger versus Time Force Red type of thing. Where it's like they're power sets that are related, but they're really two completely different power sets.
Well, I mean, those are like two separate Rangers, like specifically though.
I know, but
It's not.
that's what I'm saying. It's just that it's kind of like if Wes, like, remember how Eric gave Wes his morpher at the end of Time Force?
Right.
So it's kind of like if Wes had actually used the morpher to morph into Quantum Red, to morph into the Quantum Ranger, and used it sort of like a power up, as opposed to just wearing it alongside his and getting like a power boost from it.
Well, it wasn't it was so he can have the
The
gun.
blaster.
Yeah,
And
not
sword, I think.
the Quantum Defender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that is a way that I put it. I do happen to really like the design though. It is cool. But it wouldn't work for a full team if you styled them like this.
No, it has to be like a sixth Ranger or something.
Yeah,
that.
like this could work as a sixth Ranger, yeah. All right, so you want to move on to the Zords?
Yeah, let's talk about let's talk about some Minecraft.
Yes.
I don't know, the Zords are kind of ass. I don't like them. There's something about like go ahead.
No, finish.
Yeah, there's something about like, I guess Power Rangers and Sentai where like a lot of the more recent Zords or mecha. I'm gonna use Zords. We're gonna use. I mean, you could use the term mecha. I just like using Power Rangers term just because it's easier for me.
Yeah.
A lot of, you know, I mean, they just kind of, a lot of the more recent stuff just doesn't really, I would say just doesn't really appeal to me. A lot of the more recent stuff is just kind of like, it just kind of doesn't really look
work.
good. Well, look good, in my opinion.
I guess, especially, I think part of the problem is that they're also most of the time nowadays, not always, but some of the time, having to design the Zords around a very specific gimmick.
Well, I'm fine with that.
Well,
I'm fine with that. It's just the fact that, like, make sure that gimmick looks cool, you know?
Yeah, it's like the first two main Megazords are literally just totem poles. And you know, it's literally just the Zords stacked on top of each other. It's like cool concept, but I'd imagine the toys are a solid brick.
The toys are, you know, I mean, the Whale is like, I've seen what the Whale Zord or whatever the frick it's called in Japan looks like, and it's, you know, it's not a brick. it's like more of a thing.
Yeah, and so is the whatever it's called, the crocodile carrier or whatever.
Right, the crocodile. It you know, it's clearly, you know, more of like a
Mike.
It's clearly more of like a just
Defined shape.
Yeah, defined shape.
I wonder if like I wonder if what happened was they designed the first two sets of Zords, or the first set of Zords, and then realized, oh no, these things look terrible, but we already submitted them to the toy makers. So it's like, realized, okay, let's not do that again. So it's like, then they like changed their design philosophy with 6 and with the Whale, but probably not, because it sort of follows the style of the 6th Ranger having sort of different style Zords anyway.
Even with like the totem pole thing, it still kind of carries over into like the Whale one, because like it just kind of like it's just kind of like, it's just a bunch of like cubes for like legs.
And actually, like, here's the funny thing about the whale one. I don't remember if they show this well or not, but in theory, that thing should be like twice as tall, 2 or 3 times as tall as the normal Megazord. Because if you look, its legs are made of 4 cubes stacked on top of each other. And the Megazord, the first 2 main Megazords, are made of 3 of those same cubes stacked on top of each other. So that means that literally both Megazords come up to his knee, or are his knee, more specifically.
Well, I mean, to be fair, size consistency was never really like a thing in these shows, except like when they like kind of paid attention to that.
Yeah, like the Super Train Megazord is a really good example.
Yeah, the Lightspeed in general, with its more realistic portrayal of Lightspeed and Go-Go 5 with its more realistic portrayal of oh hey, these things are fucking
Giant
machines that are giant, which
Yep.
yeah, made for some really cool transformations.
Yep.
And that was that was pretty cool. But I mean, like in terms of like scale and whatever, like size has always kind of been inconsistent from even within like the same series.
Mhm.
I don't know. That's just kind of it's not really it sort of like pains me to like sort of like notice how like just I'm not saying that there's been like degradation of Megazords or Zords or whatever, like at like there's no like clear like pointer of like when they kind of like stopped to like becoming interesting. I just like as of late, the more recent seasons just haven't had any good ones, in my opinion.
I think I might be able to point to a point for that. On a complete side gen, and that is that I think Samurai could be looked RPM or Samurai could be argued to be that point.
Well, I like the base Samurai Megazord. I think I like it for what it is. I don't like the Zords, but the Megazord is actually pretty cool. And RPM,
yeah, but
is I'm fine with.
RPMs are fine, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with the Zords, and like the big giant freaking thing. I was like enjoy when every Zord comes together to make like the biggest thing.
Yeah, same.
Like it's not just like, no, we don't have one little thing. We have all the things coming together.
Yeah,
we have
but the reason why I mentioned Samurai specifically was because it's the first time you very much see a hyper gimmick. You know what I mean?
Right, with the symbols.
Yeah, well, not so much the symbols, but the fact that each one of them folds into their own shape.
Right.
Which
the origami thing.
Yeah, the origami. And once you have that, it makes it a little hard to like, it limits your other shapes more. A little bit, unless you start taking the things like completely making them parsemeal, kind of like with the crab. And mind you, the Claw Zord didn't follow that trend. And even though I think the Claw Zord fighting mode or Megazord, whatever it was called, I do think that does not look particularly good, but it's definitely more like robot shaped vaguely.
Well, I honestly only honestly out of Samurai / Shinkenger, the only one, like I only really care for the bull and the main Megazord.
Yeah. But let's see. There was also there were a couple here and there, but I think that's like could be marked as like one of the points where like they really start to move away from like very realistic vehicle looking Zords or like decently complex Zords. It's also when Zords like started getting much more like
Red Ranger focused.
yeah, Red Ranger focused and simple. Well, we've had Red Rangers Zords focused for a while. I mean, let's not forget that the wild for the Jungle Pride and Jungle Master Megazords are like
Right.
made up of like 75% Red Ranger Zord.
Well, I think around Ninja is when like Zord stopped being like Ninja Steel is like when Swords stopped like looking good. In my opinion.
Yes, that makes sense.
I'm just
yeah.
I mean, let me 1 second. Let me scroll something.
If they want to do it, there is a Ninja Zyuohger team up that they could do, but
Nah,
yeah, we've sort of been long past the days of a whole team ups.
right. Well,
Anyway,
I mean, whatever. Let's
yeah, our
let's
time's
get-
running down, so let's get to adaptation ideas.
let's get to adaptation ideas. We can go into like I guess 2:30 at 7:30.
I guess we'll just try to keep it,
Yeah,
within
concise.
relative.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how about you start?
All right. I'm thinking they're probably gonna be aliens, the Rangers. Like the animal ranger. Either like if they're gonna stay true to like the Sentai like thing, they're gonna make everyone an alien except for the main person. Or they're just gonna make them humans that discover like a mystical jungle thing. Either or.
I think
It's not what I want.
I'm
just
not
saying. I'm saying like what I want ideally, honestly, would be like a sort of like a sequel to WoW Force. That's what I'd actually want.
that would be awesome. Maybe they're like humans that like if we ran with that idea, I would say maybe what is like they're humans that move back onto the animarium for some reason. So they're like humans that have sort of like combined with the wild Zords to a certain degree. Somehow.
Maybe.
Especially since maybe there's like an argument to be had that's like when all the Zords came back to the animarium, there were like people that came with them somehow. Or maybe the Zords took on like human form. Maybe that'd be an interesting idea.
Sure. Villains. Where are the villains going to be? I mean, I think they're also probably just going to be aliens again.
Yeah, they'd probably pretty much just use the same idea. Maybe they'd actually make it a variation. Maybe it's like, maybe what they would do is they would do like a continuation of the Galaxy Warriors. Like maybe say like this show is the spiritual successor to that.
That's probably what they're gonna do. I mean, I want like I actually would prefer a complex plot and an intriguing villain and a motive, but like that's probably not gonna happen. What do you think they're gonna designate Zhuo of the World as?
Zhu of the World. I would think maybe Predator, but it would first depend on what they called the main season.
No, right. Well, obviously, like let's just for argument's sake, let's just call this Animal Force. But like I'm saying, like, do you think he's gonna be like a sorry about that. Do you think he's gonna be a color name or like something unique?
I don't think he would be assigned a color name. I think they would have to. They'd have to come up with some other sort of name for him.
Because they can't
I'm not
assign him an
completely
animal name either. which
Yeah,
is-
because he's got multiple animals.
yeah.
So maybe I was thinking predator. Oh, maybe they call them animals of Africa or something like that, because I'm not sure about the wolf that much, but I'd say most of the animals, he's made up of a rhino and a crocodile, rhino, crocodile, and wolf.
Well,
And
wolves
maybe you
aren't
could say
super indigenous. I don't think they're indigenous to Africa. I mean, they're
true, but
probably.
Africa does have hunting dogs. Like
I mean,
there's,
well, okay, the wolves probably for sure exist in Africa, but they're not really heavily associated with them.
true. But maybe that would be interesting though if like they tied him somehow to something like that. Maybe they would just call him Metallic or something metallic. Because he's simultaneously a gold, silver, and black ranger all at once.
Right. Well, black isn't very metallic.
True, but the black generally, whenever you have metallic rangers, tends to be an accent color anyway.
Right. Like Gold Ranger, like the first Gold Ranger.
Yeah. Like the majority of his stuff was. I think there's even an outtake, even where it's like I think someone calls him the Black Gold Ranger.
Huh.
They might layer it over and just make him a Gold Ranger. Because I would say that the gold on his suit is a lot more prominent than the silver, mostly because of his face visor, and that is his like the rhino helmet is his normal form. He that is like his main form is the rhino face. So I would think maybe that they would just call him a Gold Ranger. I don't think they would call him silver, unless maybe I think probably what they would do is they would have him have a specific designation, and then have him like something ranger, gold mode, silver mode, black mode, or just go by animal name mode.
Like kind of like X from Lupin Ranger versus Pato Ranger.
Yeah.
Because like he also has like a very similar gimmick where he like swaps.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing is that I wonder if they could do another pseudo continuation, especially since once again, like it seems that people who actually vaguely care about Power Rangers continuity seem to be writing the show now. So, like, I wonder.
Also, we have footage for we have footage of Gokai Rangers. Do you think we're gonna get some Super Mega Force representation in this season, or no way in hell?
We might. I think like a lot of the Zhuo whale introduction stuff is actually brought up because of that. So unless they were to film a completely new method of him getting his powers, which they might.
It's pretty likely, honestly.
I think it would be interesting. Perhaps these writers could do something interesting with the Super Mega Force Rangers. That's honestly, I think maybe an argument. I think there's an argument to be had that the Super Mega Force was just so not good that bringing them into another show couldn't really make it much worse. And like, yeah, I know things can always be worse, but I feel like bringing them back under a competent writer couldn't really do anything except make it better slightly, like do something more interesting with them. You know what I mean?
I guess. But we know that Yellow's actor is actually pretty involved with the fan base. So I don't know. Anything's possible.
Maybe. Here's a question. If we went through the crazy idea of tying this to one of the previous seasons, which one do you think would be most likely?
I'd say Wild Force.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'd say Wild because
Um,
any other animal vaguely themed season is it's a little too, I guess you could say,
specific.
yeah, it's a little too specific. Wild Force is generic enough where you can like expand on the mythos specifically just by, I guess, giving it some more context.
I think honestly, there could be an argument to be made, especially with the whole like if they want to incorporate some ideas, that the animarium is that Zyuohger world or whatever it was called actually is the animarium, or maybe it's wherever the wild zords were hanging out before they like revived.
You mean the Cube World?
Yeah, that the cube world is was like whatever dimension or wherever all the wild zords were, but when like when they all came back, you know what I mean?
Right. Huh.
But in all honesty, what I think they would probably do, like just probably make it relatively generic, maybe give a couple of background ties to some other teams. I think they might vaguely tie it to Jungle Fury, but not with the martial arts, but more with just the animal spirits idea. Like because honestly, that's the other thing. The Zhumens vaguely, like in terms of all their costume designs, actually look quite a bit like the animal forms for the Jungle Masters.
Right.
Um,
They look around the same quality as well.
I think Jungle Masters are actually slightly higher quality.
Probably, yeah. I could believe it.
Um,
I don't think they're gonna keep the tails because the tails are too weird.
yeah, too weird.
Um,
Yeah, but like I think this honestly could be an interesting opportunity for them to do, maybe tie it in vaguely more to SPD, like you said, with the idea of them being aliens. Like it would be interesting to see a couple of like more animal themed aliens, like like kind of like the same way how Kruger is a dog aliens, is like maybe they're from like a similar system or something, or maybe like Sella is from Aquitar. That'd be an interesting idea. Like if there was another species on Aquitar that happened to look like shark people.
huh. You know, that, yeah, I mean, I could, honestly, I don't want it to be aliens again. I'd rather it be something else, but it's probably going to be, just because that's the current state of Power Rangers right now, where it's going to be something pretty close to the Sentai.
You mean for the villains or for the Rangers?
Both.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't, I'm kind of hoping that it's something far from that, but because I like seeing new concepts and new whatever and new but it
Yeah.
whatever, it's some things are but some things are
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
I would say it definitely could be done. Like there are some Sentai seasons that I think would be very hard to adapt. Tokuger obviously comes to mind, that like you would definitely have to do some interesting writing tricks to do that. But um but
Lupin Ranger, I
the
think also. Just
yeah,
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 just because I'm currently watching it, I'm just sort of yeah.
yeah. But so it's like I think it was a pretty average season of Super Sentai, and I think it could be adapted into a pretty average or even pretty good season of Power Rangers if given the right writers.
Hmm.
And that's one of my roommates, one of my dorm mates. I think I am actually going to sign off.
Right. All right. Yeah, I
there's
think
a lot
we
of
talked.
activity.
Yeah, I think we talked a lot. So I guess we're gonna end it. Next conversation, I don't know. I'll maybe post it in like the description if we end up deciding, if I end up deciding it or whatever. Yeah, I mean, we'll find out if this is real or not.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Have a good time. I'm Simdeck powering down.
Yeah. Signing out. All right. Bye. Hey guys, Eli in the editing room here. Next conversation is going to be Power Rangers continuity. So look out for that.